I have to hop off at 12:30. So I'll just start yammering. And Bernetta is here, who opened obviously with me. And if she has any thoughts while I'm talking, she'll just jump in. So I'm going to tell you some of our biggest takeaways and our biggest mistakes. So we've done three challenges, 2 4-week challenges. We opened with a 4-week challenge, and then we did, the 10-week challenge for the fall, the transformation challenge by Matt Wilbur. And I have thoughts on that. If you guys want to hear it briefly, we can discuss that later. So biggest mistake we made, and there were a bunch of them, was to schedule them back to back. Make sure you've got a ton of time in between and have the challengers come in early. So for example, tell them that you want to start the presentation at 12, for example, but that they should get there at 11:30 so you can start doing things like the before pictures and measurements. The in-body definitely takes a while. I would strongly recommend having one person doing that and nothing but. What we ended up doing in our second challenge, because we didn't have it for the first challenge, was I would sort of, Bernetta was sort of giving a studio orientation, and then to catch up while she was doing that, I would sort of pull somebody in, have them do the in-body, hand them their sheet, and basically throw them out in a nice way. And then what we would do is at the end of the nutrition orientation, we would go through the in-body commentary results with them as a group to save time. So the in-body, I don't know if you have the, hold on, let me open up the chat here just so I can see. Did you do macros at that time? No, we didn't, and I will get to that in just a second, but that's a great question. If you have the 270, it takes about 15 seconds, but if you have the 570, it takes much longer. It's like 45 seconds to do the test. It doesn't sound like much, but it is more time consuming. And then you got to measure them and all that good stuff. So that was the biggest thing for me, was scheduling them far apart. When we scheduled them back to back, then one ended up bleeding into the other, and it sucked. We did schedule them for an hour. I would definitely give yourself more time, more like an hour and a half. Another big thing regarding the scheduling. So I'm sure that Kwansu can help you with this. Actually, you probably can't. I'll see if I can send you. What I would recommend in terms of inches is to let them do it themselves. Buy a bunch of tape measures, teach them how to do it, and then let them go on and do it. You should do the pictures yourself, because that way you can use the headshots and put it into Club Ready or FitPro Tracker or Scipio, whatever you're using. So you should have one person at the desk, and I'll get to that in a second. You should have one person taking pictures. How many at each orientation? I think we maxed that at about 30 people per orientation. I think that's what we had scheduled for. I think that's what we did. We also had a couple of small ones, like, we're going away for the weekend, and we were brand new. It's like, well, we'll accommodate you, no big deal. Every last person will get an orientation. So one person at the desk, one person taking pictures, and then one person on the in-body. Then whoever is the leader would end up, or the nutritionist or whatever, would end up doing the actual nutrition consultation. So I'll get to the actual orientation part in a second. Bake in the before pictures, the measurements. Oh, so this is from Jody Rund. Was it Jody Rund? I don't remember if this is Jody from Nadine up in Canada, but this was a game changer for us. This is the dumbest thing, and not dumbest, it's the simplest thing. So one of the biggest problems we had at the original orientation was that it was really time consuming, because we were so new on Club Ready. People were standing in line, we were taking their credit card. So there's two ways you can fix this. Number one, I don't know how you're doing the like how your payment schedule is, but one of the game changers for us was to have them pay for the spot. So that was it changed the game from when we were open in Scarsdale, when I was open with Jim Moynihan in Scarsdale, because it gave us much better compliance as to, hey, I signed up, so I'm more likely to show up. Because we had a lot of orientations where we're like, hey, I'm coming, and they didn't put any money down, they had no skin in the game, and they never showed. So we had to track them down. You sure you're coming? What's going on? But if they pay $20 or whatever it is, it's small, but it's enough to get them to come. So there's one of two ways you can run that. If you're running a click funnel, then you can have it run through Stripe, which is what we did for a couple of the challenges, which is great. It guarantees they come. But the downside is you're not capturing their credit card. So what we did was we had I don't have a copy of it, but
we have a form.
We have a form. I'll show you a picture of it later. We had a form that was literally just, it said their name, it said the challenge, said how much, gave them 2 boxes to check off. I agree to pay. I don't know how you're doing your challenge, Tatiana. I agree to pay
10 weeks.
10 week for us. It was $10. It was $27 a week for 10 weeks, or $27 up front. So $270. So they had 2 choices. You check one of the boxes, write out your credit card number here, including the expiration date. That way they can walk away. Right. They sign it, they walk away. Now you've got this. All right, 17 downs. So there you go. So if you're doing it weekly, and if you need some upfront money, you tell them, look, you can have the last week free if you pay in full now, or whatever you want to do. So you can be flexible with that. That's your decision. But that piece of paper was major helpful. And then we had a stack of them, and we could go back and look and say, okay, this person didn't show up, so we didn't get their credit card, so we know we got to go after them, that sort of thing. But it just saved so much time, because the first time we did it, there was a line of people, and everybody was waiting, and we were like, go sit down, go do the orientation.
And I got money after.
And we had to chase them down afterwards. The second thing you can do is, now that we're a little bit more savvy with Club Ready, is we were able to send them a link from Club Ready, and I can't explain that because it's voodoo as far as I'm concerned. Bernetta took care of it. And you sent them a link, and they were able to put in their own credit card information. So when they were populated in Club Ready, boom, they were all set to go. There was nothing else for you to do, right? You just had you had to get them into a contract. But that was much easier, because it's all about capturing the credit card.
The disconnect is just, can you hear me?
Tatiana, can you hear Bernetta? She can hear you.
So what happens with Club Ready, if you want them to register in Club Ready, or actually what we also did is have the initial people, the first orientation, is we sent them a link with a Club Ready link for them to fill out their health and wellness form, so that they could come, the minute that they would come work out, I already had their waiver on file. So what happens is if you have a waiver, like Tom Jones is in your computer, you have his waiver. Now you send Tom Jones the registration with a credit card link for him to input his registration for the challenge. Now he appears in there twice.
Mm.
You have to merge Tom Jones so that his waiver and his credit card become one file. I'm not sure how savvy you are with Club Ready, but just know that happens. You'll get duplicate entries.
This is one of those. So it sounds like the simplest thing for you to do as a newbie, and I'll get on my high horse about Club Ready later. As a newbie, I strongly recommend getting a piece of paper, printing out that sheet, and you know what, Kwansu, can you hear me? So I think that Nadine posted that sheet in the mastermind, and we have it too. So if you could grab that, and that is something so simple that every person on this page should have it. It's such a small thing, and it was a huge help for us.
Yeah, I agree. I was talking to I think Tom Huff also mentioned that the in body, and and other people, even Tim Skillerup said the in body is the bottleneck because it takes time. Now, also, like you said, Stripe doesn't capture the information for the recurring payment, right?
Right.
So,
Exactly.
and like you, I can't remember who did or said it during the orientation. They had a form for them to fill out, and in this form, they asked them to fill in their credit card information so they could go back after the orientation, enter the information into Club Ready.
That's the easiest way to do it, honestly. And what you can do is another one of Bernetta's suggestions was to have something for them to leave with, whether it's when I don't have one here, but a folder, and in it you put the do's of the studio, the don'ts of the studio, how to get in touch with you, excuse me, all of those things in a folder with a with a magnet or a sticker. Like we have, so this is pretty much, this is really hard to see, but on one page we've got, welcome to the studio, how to get acclimated. This is a rough draft. We'll post this stuff later, but anyway, it's how to get in touch with us. On the back we have our vision, our mission, our core values. We have our do's and our don'ts. So this is our orientation packet, and if you were to give them the orientation packet, in the orientation packet you could have this piece of paper that says, in your orientation packet, please everybody open it up right now, fill out this form, and then hand it to us on your way out. Have 100 pens on the ready. So that, if you do that, that will save yourself so much trouble, and you'll actually collect money, which is nice. I'll get to the presentation last because that's going to be tomato depending on who's doing what. One of the things that we did was, this is Bernetta's idea, is really good, sort of an icebreaker. We had everybody grab an index card, and they wrote a couple of things on them. They wrote their name, I forget what else.
Who they would like to work out with.
Who they would like to work out with. So you've got an instant referral possibility right there.
And something unique about them.
Like
a favorite recipe, where they've traveled, something, like not too personal, but something unique about them.
Right. And then what we did is we put all of those index cards, we folded them and put them in a basket, and I shook the basket up at the end of the presentation, and I pulled a card, and then whoever's card I pulled, I would read the unique thing about them, and then we would give them a prize. We had these little $100 gift cards, so the challenge was free, or I think we had some T-shirts, or
cookbook.
We had a Diana
Coulian
Coulian cookbook. So we have these.
$100. It's upside down. Oh.
It's backwards in the picture, but we had those sorts of things. So that was number one, a great icebreaker, and number two, it was perfect for us to double check who showed up, because you don't know everybody, right? You have no idea who they are. This is all new to you. So it's like a double check. And when we did it, it was just Bernetta and me. So we didn't have a team, which is a huge mistake, but that's a bigger topic for another time. How many gifts? We just did one gift per orientation. What's the name of the sheet? What's the name of the sheet again? How will show us a sample? Okay. I'm trying to answer the questions as much as I can. The paid in full. We also talked about the studio rules. As an option, as an aside, I also walked them through, for those of the people who could stay, walk them through a sample workout. We didn't do anything, but I was like, okay, we bring the whole group over to this corner of the studio. I divided the group in half. I said, okay, you guys are doing squats and you guys are doing push-ups, and you're gonna work, beep, the bell rings. Now you guys will switch exercises, because these people have never done one of our workouts. Fit Body Bootcamp is totally new in this area. They have no idea what to expect. I don't know if there's another one by you. Kwansu, your people in the area may be already up to speed on basically how it works, so that might be helpful. Studio rules explain the workouts. So regarding the presentation itself, so the one I did, obviously introduce yourself, this is the team, all that sort of good stuff. The one that I did was based on the NCI nutrition certification on the university link. So I know that HQ is not aligned with NCI anymore, but I think the last I looked, it was still there, and I found that to be incredibly helpful. It was just really, really helpful. So basically, I'd have to find it, but basically, I did not do macros. It was all based on the NCI, like I said, and it was all my own stuff. Like we didn't give them a plan. If I had to do it over again, I would give them some sort of more detailed plan. And as a benefit of my experience from Matt Wilbur's current challenge, which is amazing, we had originally bought, so back in, it seems like forever ago, but back in 2018, before we opened, we went to Domination, Bernetta and I, and when Matt was first starting his Domination, he gave it to us. I think I did the Domination free, and then I had to buy the, or maybe it was cheap, and I had to buy the $200 a month for the UTC. If you don't know what UTC is, it's the Ultimate Transformation Challenge, which is Matt's packaged challenge, all set up to go for you. And it's basically what he's giving owners now. It's the same thing. He's running it through HQ. But from what I understand, talking to other owners, it's the same stuff. It's amazing. It's great. It's super good. If I knew now what I knew then, what I would do is that I would buy the UTC at least until all of this stuff gets given to us for free all the time. But I don't think it's going to be exactly free, and I'll tell you why. Because HQ wants the upfront money, and I don't blame them. They're giving us all the stuff. But at least when we did it, the UTC license was $200 a month. So for $200 a month, it's $2,400 a year. So if you charge $20 for your orientation up front for your registration, and you put that in your pocket, essentially with a challenge or a challenge and a half, you can pay for the UTC entirely for the yearly subscription. Then whatever you get after that is gravy, and you get to keep it. As opposed to having HQ pocket that $20. So that also buys you flexibility in the UTC with different length challenges, and it buys you flexibility in the timing of when you run your challenges. So right now, if you stick with HQ, they get the upfront, have to stay. So for example, let's go back to back RP early in week before, so time, right? They were for this 10-week. I don't know if we will do the stuff that's I would just school. So that's something I should think about as you progress. I'm not sure what you guys are doing for your nutrition.
Yeah, it looks like Dylan got bounced off his internet. Let's give him a moment to jump back on. Everyone else still on?
Yes, I'm still here.
Yeah, I'm still here too.
Dylan got bounced, so let's wait for him to get back on.
But Kwang, I'm wondering, I do like that 10-week challenge. But I also like the challenges on Coach Catalyst too. I mean, you saw how many challenges were there.
Yeah, yeah. I think the challenges on there look pretty cool.
That's Tatiana.
Yeah, Dylan's back.
Okay.
I don't know how to.
Dylan, did you pay your internet bill?
I don't know where the scoop is in there.
Yeah. Sorry about. Yeah, it's just super slow. Sorry about that.
Hold on, let
So
me mute everybody first.
All right, go ahead. All right, cool. Thanks, Juan. So, one of the owners that I talked to had a great suggestion, and I'll pass it along to you guys, which was for a 6-week challenge, they don't do macros for the first 2 weeks. Because I can tell you from personal experience in the 10-week challenge is getting these people to be compliant and explaining it to them is tough. It's tough. There's so many questions. There's so much confusion. So what this woman is doing 2 weeks of workout and drink more water. Boom. And then after that, she has another orientation regarding nutrition. So for you, Tatiana, for example, you could have your orientation for these new people, explain the workouts, explain the do's and don'ts of the studio, explain the sneaker rule, do the in-body, do the pictures, teach them how to do the measurements, and do all of that stuff. Then have a special, whatever you want to call it, a nutrition meeting, or however you want to couch it. Now we're going to learn macros, which is going to be a game changer for you guys. Now that you have built great habits of working out and having your water and getting more sleep and doing all that, now let's talk turkey and let's start learning about nutrition. Because I can tell you that these people get overwhelmed very easily. Generally, they haven't worked out. They're just going to give this a shot. And if you ease them into it, which is something that we are most likely going to do for the New Year challenge, whatever you want to call it, whatever we're going to call it, I think that we're going to take that route too. It was such a good idea that I couldn't say no. So I've got about, let me open the chat again, but I've got about 7 minutes before I got to go. So if you want to unmute yourself and just go ahead and ask any questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. Or we could just stare at each other for 6 more minutes. I'm okay with that. All right, cool. So I hope that helped. I hope that anybody that watches this recording finds it useful. And if you have any other specific questions, just either message me or post it to our group. I can't promise I'll answer right away, but I will absolutely get back to you. Just let me know. I'm always happy to help. All right. Enjoy your Sunday, ladies and gentlemen. Woohoo! Thanks, guys.
Hey, Quan, y'all still there?
Yes, Clint, I'm still here.
Okay, just curious.
Did you have a question?
No, I was just going to agree with him on. We're doing pretty much the same thing he's doing. We were just splitting some of our people up when they come in, and one would go back to the measurement room or in one of the offices, and we have another line for the in-bodies and stuff like that. And then some of them, maybe 4 or 5, we would sit there and talk to them and explain, go over things, and just trying to keep a flow of everybody coming in. And this was on our Little Black Dress Challenge, which started September the 3rd. It was the week prior to that we started the orientations. So basically, I did pick up on a couple things there, but working with Steve last week on setting up a click funnel, what I was doing for a little while there to get away from using Stripe was I was creating a sales package on Club Ready, and I was using that link to send to them to sign up with, which would capture all their information for us. But talking to Steve last week, I learned that using, not doing that and going through Stripe, something about, which I don't understand all of it, was you're able to get a better campaign using that route and going through Stripe. Now, the only problem, like you was talking about using Stripe, it doesn't collect their information. So also on Club Ready packages, you know, when they sign up, say you're advertising 3 weeks before you're going to start. Well, their next payment is going to come out 7 days from the day they sign up. So when they sign up, you got to make sure you either get an email or you can get a text at Club Ready saying they signed up, and then go in there and change their post out their first payment to whenever you want, at the first day of the challenge, or whatever you're going to do. That makes sense?
Yes, Clint. Now, I want to echo what Steve at HQ told you about Stripe. Now, of course, it would seem to make sense that we want to be able to capture the credit card information when they sign up. The problem with the Club Ready method of taking payment, apparently from everyone that I've spoken to and my mentors in the mastermind program, is the conversion rate drastically drops when you use Club Ready's payment method. For some reason, I think has to do with the way it's presented and perhaps the various steps one has to go through in order for them to sign up. So they flat out just told me, yeah, it's great to capture their information, but would you rather have, let's say, you know, I'm just picking numbers, you know, 80% conversion, or would you have 50? You know, so I'd rather have the higher conversion rate and have to do the extra work on the back end to gather that payment information and do it through Stripe.
Yes, that is absolutely true. We witnessed that at the beginning of our challenge. When we started that, we had several people saying they was having problems with it. And I'd either send them the link again or just get on the phone with them or something and get the information one way or the other. But yeah, we did have problems with that. But still, we had 75 sign up and 51 or 52 were newbies. But still, I absolutely agree. And we're going to go that route from now on.
Yeah, I think that's the smart way to go. I mean, you do have to do the extra work, just like Dylan said. During the orientation, you're going to have to once again gather their credit card information. But I think that's a small price to pay for the ease of capturing another registration.
Totally agree.
So yeah, anybody else have any questions? And by the way, anybody here who is not savvy with ClickFunnels and Stripe and integrating all of them, I highly urge you to get on Steve's calendar and not just schedule one day. I urge you to schedule several days of calls with him. And that's what I did leading into during the month prior to my pre-sale. I probably scheduled 3 meetings per week for about 45 minutes each, because I didn't want to have to like wait 2 weeks to get on his calendar again. So, and I knew that if upon the, you know, after the first meeting, I knew that I would think of other questions that I wouldn't be able to ask for another 2 weeks if I didn't already schedule it. So get on his calendar, you know, schedule more than 1 meeting a week, just knowing that you're going to have to talk to him about other stuff. And that's that. Any other questions? Carl, there's a link to Steve's Calendly, probably on, perhaps on the new owners page. He has posted it in the past. So I would say just get on the new owners page, search for him to, search for his Calendly link. Absolutely, Carl. I'm here for you. Awesome. Any more questions? All right, with that, I'm going to end this call. You guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday. All right.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Go get them. Go get them.